we'd like to announce that these proceedings are being broadcast over the internet by a citizen who volunteered. Thank you, Michael Gordon of Quality Computers, right next door.
On Main Street.
On Main Street, Alstead. Commercial. Mention this meeting and get 25% off your next day. All right, we had a chance to take a look at the minutes. Oh yeah. Did you find any issues with it?
It's polygraph instead of polyograph.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think in the last paragraph, that came out of executive session.
Should be vague.
I asked for clarification on the paragraph of the MSG. It wasn't so much what was going to be removed, it was what was going to be used on the current fire trucks, on new fire trucks. About the third line down, Kelly.
Okay.
MSG paragraph.
Okay.
And then also in the next paragraph about stating that they would be meeting DPW on October 20th. I think that was that, you guys were doing DPW's budget on October 20th, not that we were meeting with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And Chris, could you clarify, I don't remember in 981 anything being discussed about contact information being on the website for the AABC?
Refresh my memory.
Right, the back page, Chris suggested the AABC's contact information be on the website.
I did.
I think you wanted responsible names and people to contact if anyone had any questions. Was the discussion?
Oh, that was about the punch list.
I think that was regarding the punch list. Yeah.
Was it, or was it, or are you getting confused that we talked about some contacts from Linda from the budget committee?
That was my understanding. Okay.
Okay. Well, to clarify the issue, we wish to put the punch list up on the website.
Correct, and that will be something we'll discuss tonight.
And we want to make sure that Linda has and Kelly have key contacts on the budget, or on the budget committee, which I think they already have. Correct? Haven't you guys already worked out who will be requesting data and for subcommittees?
And that was Linda.
Yeah, so that one's checked off.
Okay.
So maybe we could break up that note in the minutes to those two things. Because they're kind of separate. There are no hyphens in Silvio Conte. Is there a period between O? There you go. On the second to last paragraph on this back side, I was asking about the status and the type of lettering on the cruiser, asking that it be high visibility. And a cowbell for Roger.
I had three.
Yeah, that's all the money.
The Lower Brook, Warren Brook grant was signed on the last back page.
I'm not sure which grant that was. There were 3 or 4 grants involved in Warren Brook.
Okay.
There was nothing that we were providing money. It wasn't a cost to the town. It was a free money grant if there is such a thing. If you pretend that money comes out of thin air, it doesn't actually get taken out of your pocket at some point in your past. It cost you nothing. Yeah. So I would motion that with the changes mentioned, we accept the minutes. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to mix things up a little bit and let Carol, you hit the EMSG and AABC, or
Correct.
did you go ahead and chime in?
In terms of the EMSG, we're working on the truck specs and the timeline, knowing that you guys want the spec by the end of the year. I think we had a very productive meeting last Thursday, and I've got the spec just about typed. I've got probably another couple hours work on it, have people look it over and clean up some stuff. We've got a list of potential vendors for fire trucks. We're working on a list of why we're going in this direction to use, in conjunction with the budget committee beforehand. I'm still waiting on somebody to call me back about the firehouse door, so the whole thing may be a moot point if we can't get the door changed. We're also generating a couple of lists, one of which is what equipment will come off of the existing trucks and what other equipment is required. I've also asked Marcello to give me contact information for someone who may know who has fire gear that we're still waiting on that to be returned. So that's about it for EMSG. Any questions on that? Okay. AABC, I stand corrected on the comment I made last week about the software. We're looking to supplement MiniSmart, not replace it. We need more ability from the financial wisdom on the committee about budgeting and forecasting as far as that goes. And basically, we're continuing with the ongoing process that we're going through each area, pretty much line by line, and doing that kind of thing.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about that? Because I know somebody else, I thought has a question. That's all right. I know there were some concerns brought up between last week and this week. I want to emphasize that this would be software that would look at the data that comes out of MuniSmart, so we could better analyze it and try to break things up different ways so we can actually see what true costs are, but it's not a replacement for our municipal software or anything like that.
And we're well aware of the fact that the state dictates who we can use for software
Right.
for general ledger. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Police chief update. I believe our applicant has most of his data collected. He has asked that he have an opportunity to get together with us and discuss where he's at. So we will do that as soon as I want to. We'll be correct. Starting a new business.
Chris,
Yes.
might it be appropriate that the search committee be updated on the status of where you're at?
Yes. Once we have something to update.
Well, I think they know less than anybody who's been at an ABC or EMSG or Selectmen meeting.
Okay. Search committee has kind of searched.
Right, but just an email saying this is where we're at.
I can do that. Yep. All right. And I'm trying to think of what else. I'm trying to get some small things out of the way before we turn it over to you guys.
Ice rink.
Yep. Julie Peltier had asked a question about the ice rink and will it be set up this year, and said if we need help organizing, she can help. We're all for allowing her to let us help with that, and we see no reason why it shouldn't go on.
Where would that be?
Horse. Yep.
Right here.
Yep. Cool. So I guess in past, they've worked with the fire department to flood it. It's all going. There's Amber.
I see that CEO Conte isn't on there. I'm missing it now.
We did knock it off, but it can certainly be on there.
Because I have an update.
Okay. So it's on the skating rink, then we'll hit Silvio Conte. Who do you have?
Okay, I heard from Jason Stock, who's the head person at New Hampshire Timber Owners, and they are opposing the Silvio Conte expansion. I want to get permission from him, and I'll read it to you next week. He sent me a copy of what he's sending to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and in response. But also, he sent me information. He wanted to know if all of the, as Chris has been doing, and I have been doing some too, all of the towns knew who are in this expansion, and well, as we know, they didn't. And all also, he's checking out the Muskoma area, and he so far has checked with Dorchester, and they were not notified. They had no clue what's going on. And he's very concerned because in the original Silvio Conti Wildlife Refuge, they were going to the plan that's in place today, they were going to make a refuge of 600 acres in northern New Hampshire. Within a couple of years, they bought 6,000 acres in Jefferson on Cherry Refuge. And also the language about eminent domain, during their last planning process, a couple of the alternatives proposed taking eminent domain off the table, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service rejected that. So that is from NHTOA. Now I want to remind everyone who has an interest to submit whatever you want to submit to the Fish and Wildlife Service by the 16th of November. And that the meeting in Keene is on November 5th. And at that time, you can voice concerns or support, whatever it is you are into, which will be against with me. At that time also. But you can write letters, or you can go online and do it. But the time to do it in our area is November 5th at the Keene Library, 6 to 8 p.m. So, and as soon as the bills are finalized, there will be legislation in both the House and the Senate dealing with some of the issues, two bills in particular that I'm working with people in the Senate and in the House.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add to that. I haven't had a successful meeting with another town yet, but Richmond will be the next one I'm hitting. I'm just hitting the ones that are in the immediate area and trying to get in touch with some contacts with people further up. We need somebody in Canaan. We need.
Yeah, I was glad to see that Jason is working on the Stolon area.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
One quick, we got to award this municipal bid thing.
There we go. That did take it on. Any adjustments to the bidding? It was what you sent, was that the final?
That was the final bid, which is the high bid was $510. And I would urge the selectmen to support and award the vehicle.
This was the parts vehicle.
No, this is the cruiser, the old cruiser, the city hall cruiser out here.
Bidding is closed?
Bidding is closed, and the highest bid was $510, so you guys have the choice of either denying it or awarding it to Paul Burgess out of Northwood, New Hampshire.
To me, that seems like extremely low for something you can at least tow somewhere. Because it still runs, right?
It still runs and drives, yes.
$500.
And I would urge to accept the bid.
You don't think anybody would
Absolutely not.
I'd say we get rid of it.
Absolutely not.
Would you like to put that in form of a motion?
I'll make a motion. Accept.
All right, I'll second that. Any discussion on the topic?
You gonna sell the other one now?
I'd like to, but we're still working on that.
No feedback? No comments? All right. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the offer of, the insanely low offer of $500, how many dollars?
$510.
$510 for the cruiser. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
I'll let Linda know.
I can take care of that tomorrow.
Okay.
No, do you need a copy of that?
I got a copy of that.
It was slow going back bus 6.
Parking area, look at a lot of car.
I I didn't see your name on there, didn't know. So that's,
I thought Bob was gonna buy a car in front of his house.
along with the speed sign.
That could have been the speed bump.
All right, last thing is a reminder that we have an opening on the Cold River Local Advisory Board. If anybody's interested or knows anyone who may be interested, have them contact the selectmen. And we will gladly put you on that committee. With that said, I think we'll turn it over to you guys, and we'll have a presentation from a subcommittee which began working off of the AABC to take a look at our at human resources and compensation and benefits for the town employees of Alstead. So we'll turn it over to you guys.
Well, thank you. My name's Tom Dowling, and I'm on this committee. I'm here to report, along with Rich Delvenko and Bob Claglin, as to what our findings were after we did all the research. The committee was formed to review the town's current employee compensation and benefits, to better understand employee evaluation review process, to explore ways to incentivize employees to look for efficiencies that will lead to cost reductions for taxpayers. Again, myself, Rich, Bob Quaglin, and Rock were on the committee. We had some valuable input and assistance from Mike Jasmine, Les Thomas, and Chris Reitman. We started meeting the first week of June, and we've been meeting every week or every other week since that time. The goals of the committee was to gather information about employee compensation, benefits, performance reviews, performance evaluation, and incentive programs. We began that process by contacting towns with demographics similar to Alstead on how they were dealing with issues. They suggested we start with an organization chart so that everyone understands the management structure of the town. These discussions brought to light the need for accurate position descriptions, productivity measures, supervisory employee review training, and the need for hands-on department supervision. As you'll see, the group sourced over a dozen cooperating towns comparable to ours in size. They shared compensation, benefit information, internal policies and procedures, job descriptions, employee performance review process, and much, much more. We're providing this information for the select board to consider and implement where it will benefit the town and its taxpayers. Some of the stuff we'll be presenting to you tonight certainly is the org chart, which is intended to serve as a guide for citizens in better understanding how the town government functions, and Rich Delvenko will walk you through that. In order to properly establish wages, preferred job performance and productivity, the ability to properly review performance on town employees, we think there's a need for job descriptions, and Rich will also walk you through that. The committee survey reached out to 12 towns to compare with Alstead full-time employee benefit offerings and compare them. Bob Quaglin will present that piece. And a comprehensive wage survey by title was conducted by the committee to compare our situation to towns which are similar to Alstead. Bob Quaglin will also present that. Alstead managers do not have, nor do they complete employee evaluation forms. It's a basic tenet of effective employee relations practice that all employees be evaluated by their supervisor on a regular interval. Rich Delvenko will present those findings. The CBEC was provided Alstead's current personnel policies and procedure manual, last updated in 2002. We felt it was time to have a more current and updated document. Rich Delvenko will present what we found, again, talking to the other towns. The employee suggestion program that we'll present is one that's best designed to reward employees for ideas they bring forward that have a positive impact on the operational efficiency and or financial results of the town of Alstead. I will present that section. And lastly, the considerations and suggestions prepared for the Alstead Select Board were generated through our conversations with New Hampshire towns of similar size, culture, and concerns. Our desire is to better inform the Select Board of these findings, and I will present those. If you would, hold your questions until the complete presentation is made, so we can keep our trend of thought, we would appreciate that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rich Nelvenko to talk about the org chart.
Yeah, for those who don't already know me, my name is Rich Nelvenko. I've been an Alstead resident since mid-2000. When we first moved in here, we were very active with the racetrack, those that were around there. Then the racetrack proposal was on the table. I also subsequently served for about 9 years on Alstead's planning board, and have been active on and off since that time in the community. My wife served for 9 years as the chair of the Conservation Commission. Now, as Tom mentioned, when we got started on this, the basic starting point for any kind of an organization or management study is to sit down and actually understand what the organization you're looking at looks like. And so we put together on the back wall here, and as part of the package, fundamentally a basic organization chart that is a graphic representation of the overall management structure of the town of Alstead. It shows reporting relationships as well as lines of accountability. It includes all town officials, departments, boards, commissions, and other related town entities. It identifies elected officials and those that are appointed. And on this graphic representation, the elected officials are in the white boxes, and the appointed positions and officials are in the blue boxes. Ideally, we would have this, and you can't see it from the back there, but effectively under the Board of Selectmen on the right-hand section of that, it normally would be down underneath as a second page in this. It also serves as a roadmap, if you will, for understanding the key parts of the organizational study as we go through this. One comment here is that what hasn't been included on this chart, and you'll see things like, for example, we've got a dotted line relationship here to the Friendly Meals and the Violet's Pool Board of Directors. We haven't included, for example, the AABC, which is a standing committee. We could have included that, and subsequently it could be included on an organization chart if that's what people want to show. We've also left off of this chart the Historical Society, which does have a relationship with the town, albeit there's some subsidy, but the Historical Society is a totally independent 501c3 in their own right. Also, there's, and we'll cover this when we get to the job description section, but they're also behind a lot of these positions are RSAs, New Hampshire RSAs that lay out and describe the various responsibilities of each one of the positions there. And that actually is contained for the selectmen's benefit in section 3 of the manual, which you'll have. So moving from that to job descriptions. In order to properly establish any kind of a wage system, preferred job performance and productivity, and the ability to properly manage the efficient operation of any organization, the basic starting point and building block is to have descriptions of what each one of the positions and jobs entails. It serves as the basis for, as I said, evaluating performance of town employees, measuring things like productivity, and establishing and maintaining a competitive and salary wage structure. Any job description should include specific duties, responsibilities, and accountability for every position in the organization. As I said, it flows from the organization chart, but then as a direct adjunct to that is a specific job description. Now, we've attached in the package, also I should say, these job descriptions need to be kept current and reviewed by management, in this case the select board, and in conjunction with employees by agreeing to annual goals and objectives, and make sure everybody is on the same page and understands what each one of the positions entails. I would say that's fundamentally what you would call best management practices, to have it organized in that description. Now, we've also included in the appendix, and the New Hampshire Municipal Association has provided and has available online a core job descriptions for just about every position you can think of in any kind of state position or municipal organization. And as I said, we've included an appendix in the full package for the select board, a copy of all the state job descriptions. Now, in order to efficiently expedite formulation of job descriptions, we've included a sample template in the package which shows how various job descriptions are laid out and the various components of those job descriptions. For example, as I said, a summary of the overall job and position, and then followed by details of duties and responsibilities entailed with each job, the kinds of knowledge and skill sets that are required for any kind of an incumbent who's holding that particular job. Any kind of other responsibilities connected with it, for example, budgetary or property management responsibilities, or supervision if it happens to be a supervisory position, and what's entailed in the supervisory position. And then we've also put in here a set of job descriptions which we found in the course of contacting various towns from the town of Wilton. Some example job descriptions which we thought were good examples and of a standardized format that can be used from position to position to position. So we think that this is something that serves as a kind of a reference as to how this kind of a system would be set up in a town such as ours. So you don't have to start from when setting up a job description system. You don't necessarily have to start from reinventing the wheel. And since most of this information is not copyrighted and is public record in most places, the suggestion is we ought to take advantage of copying what looks to most of us as one of its good management practice and sound examples. Okay, so with that, I'll turn it over to Bob Quaglin to handle the benefit surveys part of the survey as well as the wage survey portion of it.
Okay, thank you, Rich. I'm Bob Quaglin. I've been a full-time resident of Alstead for the last 2.5 years. However, been involved since a child when my grandparents purchased a property in 1937, so we've been here a long time. Okay. It is our home now. We have retired here. My wife's been here 3 years, and I've been here a little over 2. My past background is for 40-plus years. I was in human resources for a number of different corporations in the United States. I've never worked for a municipal association, but as most of you know, HR is HR, and we take care of all kinds of things, okay? It's really an administrative role. I've done a number of benefits and compensation surveys over the years, and that span was, I don't know, 43 years or something like that, so I've done a lot of this. So what we've done in the benefits section is we reached out to 12 towns to compare Alstead full-time employee benefit offerings with what Alstead offers. It must be noted, while not all towns offer every benefit that Alstead does, nor does Alstead necessarily offer every benefit that other towns do, or cover the cost of benefits uniformly, we found that Alstead compares relatively favorably. And if you go to section 4.1, this is for the selectmen, you'll see, and please forgive me for not having all of the detail for the audience here, but maybe you can kind of visualize if we will. We have a spreadsheet here, Down the left-hand side of the spreadsheet are 13 towns, including Alstead. Those are the towns that we contacted. And across the top of the spreadsheet, we have all of the areas that we contacted and we questioned them about the benefits. We talked about holidays, vacation, sick, and personal. We talked about health, dental, and vision insurance, short and long-term disability insurances, life insurances, retirement programs, and a uniform allowance. I'll go over some of these. I won't go through every one. But starting with holidays, Alstead currently offers 10 paid holidays to its full-time employees. The other 12 towns, one did not report, leaving 11. The range was from 6 to 11, so Alstead's 10 fall right in line. So there's no anomaly there. Vacation, sick, and personal days, in most instances, you would think that administratively it's a nightmare, and I'm sure it is even for a small town. So the New Hampshire Municipal Association has recommended that towns combine that into a single category called paid time off. Alstead does do that. Alstead has a sliding scale depending on position and how long you've been with the town of 12 to 22 days. Now that includes vacation, sick, and personal. Interestingly enough, the 12 towns that we surveyed do it the other way. Okay, they haven't put it all together. But when you add up collectively those three categories, Alstead again falls in line. Okay. Health insurance, we looked at two things. The provider, number one, and the percentage of the premium, the health insurance premium that the town pays. Alstead utilizes a provider through the New Hampshire Municipal Association called Health Trust and pays 87% of the premium. The other towns, almost without exception, there are two that didn't, that have private plans. All the rest of them use Health Trust. And the participation rates range a low of 80% to a high of 100%. So Alstead's 87% is right again within the fray. Dental insurance, Alstead does offer it, but through a company called Aflac. That's that white duck on TV that everybody sees. Okay. They also, through Aflac, offer vision, short and long-term disability, and life insurance. The other towns, however, most use Health Trust for those benefit offerings. And I know Health Trust was in here just recently to go over benefits with some of the town officials. Unfortunately, I was out of town and couldn't go to that meeting, but hopefully you will work with them going forward. Health insurance range coverages, Alstead's 87%. The 12 towns, one again did not, 1, 2, no, they all reported the low was 80% coverage to 100%, with the vast being between 80 and 85%. So again, Alstead's right in the middle. Dental insurance, Alstead utilizes Aflac. Most of the other towns with 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 do not report or don't offer it, but the other 6 do offer through Health Trust, and they usually use Delta Dental. Again, coverages are 50% from the town of Sutton to 100% for the town of Lyme. Again, Alstead does offer it, but the full benefit is paid for by the employee. Moving on to vision insurance, no towns offered vision insurance. It was just kind of interesting. You would think they would. And as you get older, it gets more important as a benefit. But we do offer it here in this town. But again, it's the package is picked up, the cost is picked up by the employee. Short and long-term disability, again, Health Trust is the provider of record for all of the other towns that reported. And there were like 9 or 10 of them that did report. One did not, with an exception. One town, Holderness, utilizes Unum Life, and that's just, they found it was cheaper to go with Unum. But Health Trust is, just for information purposes, is sort of a collective, if you will. They represent hundreds of towns throughout Alstead. And what they do is the towns join Health Trust, and then Health Trust uses their collective power of numbers, if you will, to negotiate rates. And so I think it would be really hard to beat their rates, because the bigger you are, the more cut you have with the insurance companies. It just works that way, and regardless of whatever the benefit is. Alstead again uses Aflac because they don't use Health Trust, but we'll see what happens going forward. Life insurance is a mixed bag. 6 of the towns offer life insurance, but they're all over the place. It's really scattered. Again, the percentage of payment by the town is 100% if offered, but a very few towns offer life insurance. Under the retirement program, the New Hampshire retirement program is used by almost all of the towns that surveyed. Uniform allowance, again, it's a mixed bag, and at different levels of participation by the towns. And we've broken it down to mostly police and the Department of Public Works, where the uniforms are reimbursed. The cost of the uniforms are paid for by Alstead. And that's pretty much is what we found across the different towns. Some don't offer them at all, or they don't report. If they didn't report anything, we would assume that they don't offer it. Okay, so that's it for benefits. The next section is the wage survey. Again, I've attached the spreadsheet. This is the easiest way for us to portray the data. We actually we reached out to 16 towns. And we selected the towns via demographics. And some of the things that were really important to us, and this is where Mike Jasmine helped out quite a bit, we looked at not only population, we looked at the police and fire budgets, we looked at the total general budget, we looked at the population, and the New Hampshire Municipal Association of the towns that report break it down by population. And the group of the 16 towns that we contacted, 12 of them were in the population from 1,000 to 1,999, and Alstead falls, boom, 1,941 in population. So, and we had 12 towns to survey against. So that's pretty representative. However, I do caution you, because wages is kind of an interesting, it goes back to not having job descriptions, okay? The hardest part of this entire survey was to take a job, and unless there's a job description, which we have some within the town, and I'll go through a couple of those, we can't really compare apples to apples, because towns are different, reporting relationships are different, accountabilities and responsibilities and assignments are different. So unless we have a basic job description, we kind of have to guess in some instances, and we did, and I'll explain where we did here and going forward. So we surveyed over 50 job titles. Now, I said, well, where does Alstead have 50 job titles? These are full-time, part-time, on-call, volunteer, whatever you may call it, but they get paid something, unless you're a volunteer, they get paid something from the town of Alstead. Therefore, you're an employee. Doesn't necessarily mean you get benefits, but you do at least get a paycheck. We looked at, for example, in the ambulance department, we have a list of New Hampshire municipal ambulance criteria certifications, EMT, EMT1, first responder, etc. Okay? So, when you look at the spreadsheet, and I'll just use you as an example, I'm not picking on you, but, okay, our ambulance drivers are positioned in employment of being on call. What that means is they don't get a salary, okay? But when they work, they get a wage, and it's based on the level of certification. So we use the definition, and I have some job descriptions, yours, that are the same as the New Hampshire Municipal Association, which is the same throughout the state of New Hampshire. So that's an apples-to-apples comparison. Then you get into what's being paid for those different positions, and we're really close. Our EMT basic is $9.75. The average of 2 additional towns who happen to have that classification was $9.25. So we're a little bit higher. When we move on to the EMT 1, we're at $10.75 with 4 other towns at $10.01. So as the larger the survey population, meaning the larger the number of towns, the better the data is. Okay, when you have a title and you only have 1 town that reports, it's kind of hit and miss. But if you've got 6 or 7 or even 5 towns, it's better than 1. So moving on down the list, I'll give you an example of one that's a couple that are right on. The supervisor road agent, for example, we had 7 towns that reported wages on that title, very similar to our job description that we have. And the difference in pricing is $613 a year. So very, very close. How we got there, who knows? But if it was $20,000 difference, then you'd have an anomaly and you'd want to look at that. So going down, we've looked at the cemetery, the Department of Public Works, the executive groups, the fire department. We looked at the general government. We looked at the health officer, the library, the planning, the police department, and I'm not sure what SOC stands for, that acronym.
Supervisor checklist.
Well, that's good, because it's all the checklist folks, including the moderator. Okay? With anywhere from 1 to 7 or 8 towns reporting, and again, without a job description, we had to guess. And I'll give you one that we guessed at. The Department of Public Works, the folks that work for David, they do kind of everything. They run graders, they run loaders, they fix equipment, all this kind of thing. So we don't have a job description, but we did interview them. Tom actually interviewed David and also the folks working for him. And we've come up with a title that is used throughout New Hampshire called the Heavy Equipment Operator. Okay? Kind of sounds reasonable because it states in the job description that we did utilize from the New Hampshire Association, driving trucks, driving loaders, driving graders, and things like that. And we also have full and part-time. Our full-time is $17.25, with the average wage of 7 towns being $17.82. So, it's a little bit of a difference, but it's not way off, okay? And again, on part-timers, $17 versus $17.02. So it's real close. So I'm not going to go through the rest of these, but I do caution the select board and whomever else you provide this for. This is a data point of time. Now, there have been, maybe since the data that we used was from a payroll run, if you will, in early June. Now, if there have been wages, increases, decreases, people leave, people come, since then, well, we may not have covered it. But there are really approximately 50 job titles. So we think we've covered the vast majority of positions within Alstead. But I go back to, we need job descriptions. It's absolutely important. And we are recommending that on a go-forward basis, the New Hampshire Municipal Association every 2 years provides wage and benefits survey requests to all of their population that join us. These are hundreds of towns in the state. We suggest that we do the same, but again, we need to report good data. The monetary stuff will be good, but then again, the job descriptions are important. And we've included in this book, this whole section here, are job descriptions from towns, from the New Hampshire Municipal, just a couple of hundred job descriptions in here. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's all in Microsoft Word, so use it however you wish. Thank you. And now Rich is going to talk about the employee evaluation process.
First, Tom's going to say.
Yeah, I just
Tom, sorry.
included right here on these slides is all the information that's in that manual and the stuff you have. So as you want to go into current data, you can bring it up on this, insert the new numbers, and then it'll just recalculate.
Excellent.
So, and this is Joel's. This is This is Josie. So, I'm sorry.
That's okay, fine. And we'll talk a bit about employee performance evaluation. And I think it's pretty widely accepted that a basic tenet of any kind of an effective employee relations practice is that all of your employees in any organization get some kind of a regularly scheduled evaluation against a job description and goals and objectives that have been agreed in advance. And again, this flows from what we were saying. You have your organization chart, and then, as Bob said, what's really critical to this as a building block in this whole exercise is you start with a good set of job descriptions that everybody agrees on management and employees, and you have the specifics, and in addition to that, on a regular basis, sit down and talk about what the expectations are for the coming year. Usually, it's at least yearly. A lot of organizations do it twice a year, and some organizations do it once a quarter to provide like ongoing feedback so that you know if anything's changed in the job descriptions, and then you can go back and revise those, or if there's something that's changed in terms of the expectations or the performance of a particular person holding a job in the organization. Now, in the past, it's our understanding that Alstead managers haven't been required to review employee performance. And as I said, I think that's probably unfortunate because of the benefits to both parties, the employee, the management, and the overall organization of having a pretty clear picture of what's going on in the organization, what the expectations are. So our suggestion to the select board is that you consider formalizing and implementing an annual performance review program for all town employees, hopefully as early as 2016, if you can manage that. And to that end, we've attached some sample formats from two of the towns that we spoke with, one Francistown and Lindenborough. And you'll see in here, and these vary a bit, but these are what we thought were pretty good examples of pretty rudimentary formats for evaluating performance, and also providing for employees to provide input to that. So it's a two-way kind of iterative process. And again, the components of this and the goals will vary by job, but the overall form, you can fit almost any job description into these kinds of formats. And you'll see in the case of the, two different kinds of formats, but the Lindenborough format has a numerical evaluation process, and it has a lot of key elements here. Just to read a couple of them, accuracy, attention to safety, things that are important to the job performance, compliance with rules, critical thinking, efficiency, and feedback, providing feedback and communications, and a whole host of different criteria. You don't have to use them all, and all of them don't necessarily apply to every particular job position, but it does provide a fairly objective basis. In the case of Lindenborough, a numerical number that results in a scale that provides you with a performance evaluation that ranges from 1 to 5 based on the points that are assigned in the particular set of criteria that you're using. In Lindenborough's case, they have different factors for what they call exempt and non-exempt. In the business world, exempt is fundamentally used to be salaried people were exempt, which meant you weren't you didn't qualify for overtime. You worked hours, you were salaried, and non-exempt meant hourly paid employees. Now, some of this has changed with recent legislation on the Fair Labor Standards Act, where they've now said, regardless of what kind of a position you're in.
It goes by wage. They increased the exempt from $26,000 to $53,000. So an individual making under that $53,000, even if they manage people, has to be paid time and a
And I think that's a key point for the select board to keep in mind when you're looking at the overall wage and salary structure and hours worked and other things, because it is a pretty significant change in the basic rules for payment of overtime wages. Okay, and as we said, we think that's a fairly, there's some other examples I think that we have included in the overall larger manual and on the zip drives of information that we picked up from other towns that have in place pretty good performance evaluation systems and processes. That brings us to policies and procedure section of the report. Alstead does have a manual, a policies and procedure manual, which we borrowed as a basis for a starting point in looking at this particular aspect. But we know that it was last updated in 2002, and so we think it's high time that you take a hard look at bringing this up to speed, at least reviewing it to make sure everything's still relevant in there. And we also, as part of the process that we conducted in contacting other towns, researched what they were doing in terms of a policies and procedures manual. We ran across in the course of that what we all pretty much unanimously agreed was an exemplary policies and procedures manual from the town of Alstead, New Hampshire, which they were kind enough to provide us with a copy of, and which we've included in this report. And that's current as of March 2015. So they've recently gone through their policies and procedure manual and totally updated. So we think this isn't a bad starting point for the selectmen to, and if we had our druthers, we'd basically say take a look at that, and it's not copyrighted as we said before, and it's public record, and if it fits and you need to tweak it, or it's probably not a bad idea to lay the Alstead policy and procedures manual beside this one and do an objective review of it and see if you might not be able to incorporate a lot of what we found in the Allenstown policy and procedures manual. Okay, so
Just to jump in real quick, sure, you would want legal review on anything.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, at the end of the day. After we get our draft done, it would have to.
It's really good.
Yeah,
And it's there's nothing they've left out.
They haven't missed
Not a thing.
and all of us have different experiences in the corporate world, and we all independently thought that was really an exemplary example of a pretty sound document.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, and I would just add with what Bob said, almost any of this stuff where we said it's not copyrighted or whatever, you'd want to run by legal just to be sure that, but we're all pretty certain that as documents that are fundamentally public record, there's no, what do they say, the best form of flattery is copying, unless it's plagiarism. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tom to cover the employee suggestion program, and then to kind of wrap this up and give some thoughts on suggestions for the select board.
Thank you. And I know we mentioned it, but the towns that we contacted were unbelievably cooperative, wonderful about sharing whatever they had, unabashedly. Oh yeah, take it. You want to use that? Yeah, here, use this. So, it was a very cooperative effort, and very heartening actually that they didn't. They made time for us, both at the clerical level and at the administrative, higher end administrative level, made time for us. So as this comes to a close and you have all this information, we're going to contact the towns we contact and tell them that we have this information in a spot, and if they want any of our information, feel free to contact someone in the Alstead Select office, and we would share it back. Because,
And once you review on your stick there, you can just send it to them, and it's all there. If you want to do it, edit.
Okay, I want to get into employee suggestion program. This is a very rudimentary, elementary, first cut at a program, but I'll kind of lay it out for you. Do with it what you will and modify it any way you want. But this program was designed to reward employees for ideas they bring forward that have a positive impact on the operational efficiency and/or financial results of the town. The program will work something like this. Any town employee could bring forward an idea that have a positive impact on the town. That idea would include how the idea would work, the reason for considering it, the operational or financial impact it might have, and a suggestion as to how it might be measured. A special committee appointed by the selectmen would review the ideas, assess the viability of it, recommend the yea or nay on its merits, and those recommendations would then be forwarded back to the selectmen for final approval. There would be a predetermined award for a good idea with no minimal financial impact. $50, whatever you wanted, $20, $100, whatever it would be. And a reward for an idea with a measurable financial impact, and we're suggesting maybe 10% of the documented one-year savings. So if it was a big idea, it was a $1,000 idea, they have $100. If it was a $10,000 idea, they have $1,000. But it would be $10,000 we didn't have. And the awards would be given at the end of a 12-month period with proven results. The selectmen would have to appoint a town employee to track the impact of the idea versus the original estimate to validate any award given. The selectmen would have final decision on the ideas recommended for acceptance, the category it was eligible for, and the amount of the reward to be authorized. So again, this is not